I think two things are very disheartening here that come to mind right now. One is that I have to go over this stuff in the first place. I'm not a scribe. I'm not a Freemason. I have notebooks and binders full of notes. And, you know, this is not supposed to be my job. Okay, my job is not to hold your hand. My job is not to teach you arithmetic. Okay, it's not to teach you algebra. It's not to hold your hand through history. It's not to explain to you the different figures and body types and features of martial artists. Not to explain to you the nuances in people to help you understand them. Okay, and why we see people in general failing to make these connections, but we see women because they have been bred to not make these connections so they can kind of serve whoever's in charge. Okay, I shouldn't have to connect kara, an encampment, an army, to kara, to empty. To empty what? The hand. And the hand is also play on words for DNA. They're not just referring to get your enemies to surrender, but in turn to breed them out by taking their most attractive women and limiting their reproduction. We see this with the Pharaoh and the Jews in the Bible when he was interfering with their reproduction, which was one of the reasons they felt the need to get out of there. Okay. We see the word gunny, meaning hearth, which is connected to the name Ki and gun-e, right? Why should I have to explain to you that technology, right? If you look at it, the word, the T is the plus, the H is the fence, EC is what you have left. This has everything to do with being an E. This is how they see things. Like I was saying, it's not right that I have to be the one to talk about this. Okay, with all the people talking about the New World Order, why is there an appalling lack of emphasis on martial arts? I've come across maybe one video, and it was talking about Satanism. He wasn't really talking about the New World Order. He was saying that martial arts are satanic. And of course, this is a half-truth. I've never come across anyone else talking about both martial arts and the New World Order, okay, in a way that is true, okay? I pretty much haven't come across anyone talking about both martial arts and the New World Order. So let's look at the reasons why they would, you know, it's obvious that people would go to martial arts, right? If you're not talking about martial arts, you're not serious about taking on the New World Order. We'll get to that. If you are talking about martial arts and you're not talking about the black African source of it, okay, you're probably a racist. You're not interested in taking them out because they're evil. You just want to vie with them for power. These are the reasons why there's no way around that. Let's look at Egyptian African martial arts. Okay, so when you go to Egypt, right, you're going to see African martial arts. Let's explore this. Who were the Egyptians, is you're forced to ask yourself, right? The pyramid on the dollar bill. How can you talk about the New World Order and not consider the pyramid on the dollar bill? It goes without saying where it comes from. Okay, who the Egyptians were. What are these warrior depictions, right? Who are the warrior pharaohs? Ramses the Great depicted as a warrior. What is the significance of being a warrior to the Egyptian pharaoh? How could anyone miss this? Are they not trained to be the warriors? Be warriors, or are they? Okay, there's no way around that. You know, and anybody with a heart to kind of resist, right? Of course, they're talking about warriors and their respective cultures. You think they wouldn't consider this? You think this is not key? Then it leads you to your own culture's war tactics. Okay? Just thinking about resisting them in general. Okay? And what your belief system is. It's going to lead you to kind of explore what their belief system is. If this is a spiritual battle between warriors, right? Are you not going to explore their martial arts? I mean, how stupid is that to think that you wouldn't, right? I completely discard anybody who doesn't talk about martial arts when they talk about the New World Order, and I discard them if they don't emphasize the black African root of Egyptian martial arts. We consider the militant, right, perspective. Malcolm X said if you want to defend yourself, you take karate. He's talking about martial arts. Again, he wasn't completely serious because he's talking about a martial art made for another group of people, but he was on to something. He just didn't explore it enough. Perhaps if he lived longer, he would have. Let's consider Hollywood. You think Hollywood action heroes aren't part of this Crowley thing? They're not significant when it comes to the Hollywood and the occult? How stupid is that? You think these Hollywood action hero sex scenes have nothing to do with the word Hollywood, Holywood? If you've watched Maxwell, you've made that connection. What about comic books? Perhaps the Black Panther and Captain America are doing some variation of martial arts. Perhaps that would lead you to consider how this factors in. Okay, not everyone is in the military. If you're going to cultivate a warrior mentality, where would you look? Let's not forget the technological disadvantage you have. If you're going to fight against the New World Order, are you going to throw stones at tanks? Are you going to shoot 22s at SWAT teams? Or are you going to consider how close combat factors in? Don't special forces in the military consider that? So you must consider how martial artists factor in the New World Order. Okay, it's a New World Order. Where does martial arts fit in? That leads you to the UFC, the MMA, right? Don't these people aren't they textbook kind of New World Order people with their kind of channeling ideas, the kind of act they go through before they start the match, all right? And also, why is the martial MMA the new direction of society? This is not an effective way to combat the New World Order, but a way to beat someone up in a brawl fight, which is part of the culture. The New World Order embraces blood and violence. If I have to explain to you how blood is significant in the New World Order, and how MMA matches quite often are bloodbaths, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't connect that to the Colosseum and Rome, and if not the MMA to the Colosseum, certainly Project Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, okay, the Roman eagle, the American eagle, the Nazis, Hitler had these Nazis dress up like Templars, okay, the Romans talking about the New World Order, the Nazis talking about a New World Order, the Roman Catholic Church connection to the Templars and the Jesuits. One way or another, it's going to lead you to these kind of warrior ideas. And the Mason Templar degrees, I believe both in the York Rite and the Scottish Rite, which also connects you to the York, the kind of Princess of York, kind of the Scottish background of the royal family of England. Okay, let's not forget the fascist and the communist argument, right? Immortal Technique, Paris, talking about the New World Order, kind of implicating the fascists, and the fascists implicating the Jews, and in turn, the communists. Okay, so it is completely laughable to think that people aren't going to connect martial arts to the New World Order. Why don't they? If for nothing else, that alone shows that I'm the top martial artist, at least from the true perspective of God, from the true spiritual perspective, and the non-complicit with the New World Order perspective, if for nothing else. And are we talking about a new American order or a new world order? So it's not enough to say, hey, you're not American. No, every country, in the absence of it moving against the idea of a new world order, is implicating itself. It's indicating to the careful observer, even albeit the casual observer as well, that they are complicit with the new world order. Their martial arts are accepted. Their forms of governments, to some degree, are part of the melting part of the Hegelian dialectic, part of the Hegelian principle. Hegel, okay, Marx, and angles, which goes back to angels and angles, which goes back to this card. I'm going to end this video by putting on the screen. What is an angel? It is a warrior. It connects to martial arts. So whether you are a Christian, or whether you do Kung Fu, whether you are a conspiracy theorist, why on earth aren't you talking about it? And why is it left up to the top martial artist? Who is the one person who has no reason, who has the least reason to lie about this? It is the top martial artist. He's the most courageous. He has the true system, skywalking versus set positions as if you're in a box. Thus the term boxing, Chinese boxing, as Kung Fu, and all the set position martial arts that sprung from there. Okay, what don't you get, people? You have to be talking about this thing this way to even be in the running to be the top martial artist. Now pay very close attention to my next video where I talk about Ki, Earth Goddess, and I connect it to the G, which is what I'm wearing. Again, I don't do Kung Fu. It is because my group, Black African martial arts, are targeted by the New World Order, that even though blacks are 13% of America, which I believe is a greater percent than Asians, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, certainly comparable, and our martial arts aren't emphasized. Shaka Zulu, the Ashanti, the Igbo, the Yoruba, Dambe, from the Fulani and the Hausas. Why aren't these part of martial arts systems in America? Instead, you have Brazilian capoeira, which is obviously them stealing from these ideas. We have dark-skinned Asians, okay, and Asians who have features more like Africans, who perhaps are discriminated against in their own lands, okay? And certainly this is a solid connection to the African systems that these other people would eventually usurp. And let's be fair about this. Yes, they are white-skinned people. And yes, the jackal in the common pictures that come up is a more pale-skinned people. Yah and La, Allah, right? The crescent moon of the Ottoman Empire. These are moon cults. These have nothing to do with the one true God, but people who receive the knowledge like the moon receives the rays of the sun, seeking to usurp the true order of Chuku, okay? The true order of the sun, Ra, Ra, and Kwa, and Hak, which is the Kwa backwards because they're doing God's plan in reverse. And again, as I pointed out in Illuminati Part 1, August 31st, 2009, the people from the Sun Temple had the dark skin because the sun shines on them. If you embrace it, if you wish to be the receptive to the sun, that's what happens. You know, I'm not racist. I'm part white. I don't give a fuck about race. I do see it as dominant and recessive traits. And, you know, I don't see other black people as worthy of being labeled the Pharaoh because they're not doing what I'm doing. They are not suffering and being persecuted like I am. Even in the white man's Bible, Matthew 5:10, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:11, blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice. And go on to verse 12. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. If women were really Christians and insightful, and I asked two women the other day, and they said, yes, it shouldn't take them very long to see the good in somebody. And I've had conversations with thousands of women, and they are empty shells. They are subservient lemmings. And I'm not doing women a favor by pretending they're not. If I don't, after removing the log from my own eye, if I don't remove the fucking rainforest from other people, I'm setting them up to fail. Thank you.